What's going on, everyone? Nick from Comic Culture here. It's time for Nick at Night, my weekly comic book review show. Let's get into the books I read this week. Starting over in Marvel, we have Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 20. Now, this run should only be going for about 4 or 5 more months, so we're going to be winding down here very shortly. In this particular issue, though, we get a ramp up of our little trio here, plus Mary Jane, who's not on the cover, but she's highly featured inside of the issue itself. This is basically a gigantic talking head issue. You have Messina on the art, so that was kind of a giveaway, but you're going to have a lot of this kind of stuff going on right here. The classic 9-panel grid right there. Shout out to Eric. But you're going to get a lot of realization. This is a moment where we're going to start telling the truth, where Mysterio, Gwen Stacy, is going to be telling Mary Jane what exactly is going on, what kind of threats they're up against, while Harry and Peter are kind of sitting back, just watching this train wreck happen in real time. How is Mary Jane going to take this? We see throughout the issue right here. A little bit too shocking. She didn't anticipate this much drama and chaos and just fear for her family when Peter took on the mantle of Spider-Man. So that's what we have to deal with inside of this issue. And there's some hard feelings towards the end of the book for sure, but it's basically just a huge talking head issue like we saw in the previous arc for this story right here. So I guess we're taking kind of a breather. We're doing a lot of narration in this one right here, just trying to push the plot forward, get to a point where we need some more drama and chaos. As we're winding it down, Messina's on the art doing an okay job with facial expressions, but what can you really do when you have multiple shots of the same head? How many poses can you do? That kind of got old after a while. But we've been here before. This is a talking head issue. We're going to get some more excitement, hopefully leading up to the conclusion of this run, get our regular creative team back on this book. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 6 is out. Dennis Camp, Javier Rodriguez on this book. Now, I don't even know how to explain what the heck's going on inside this story right here. It's very abstract, very metaphysical, and the book even points that out too. We have a lot of concepts in here that are just hard to explain, but basically what I think is going on is we have the white Martian and we have our green Martian, right? And they're basically concepts. They're playing on people's emotion. The white Martian in particular is drawing out all this negative energy that he's seeing around from the people, possessing them in a certain way, making them act in ways that they wouldn't normally act. And it basically is weaponizing everybody in this entire town. And the green Martian has to combat all of that. Now, of course, we have John here kind of wakening from his stupor, and he's trying to do his best to harness the green Martian power to combat this white Martian as well. Again, it's very abstract. It's very, read it and see what you think about it kind of a thing. But we're dealing with a direct threat to the family who's imbued with this magical power from the white Martian. And we're trying to understand the source of all this negative energy and how to share it and kind of, relate to each other, something like that, to reground us. Very interesting concepts in the book. It's something that you're not supposed to really understand, I don't think. It's supposed to live right outside of that area of comfort, I think, as an idea for a story. And it's doing a great job of that. Colors and artwork and everything are still amazing. One of the best looking comics out, I think. Absolute Martian Manhunter continues to kill it. Highly recommend checking this one out. Let me know if you did. Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman with Jordi Belair on Absolute Wonder Woman right here. We have issue number 11 out. I love that cover right there, just featuring the maze that Wonder Woman is in right now. We got hit with some kind of hallucinogenic drug thrown inside this well to basically perish, right? To be attacked and dismantle ourselves and take out our friends and everything like that. But we meet some unlikely allies in here as Diana kind of reorients herself to her surroundings, using a little bit of that magic that she has, understanding that the hallucinogens are just basically impacting her perception. Nothing is real, so she's trying to fight through all of that. She makes a lot of new friends inside this issue, even some old Themyscirian acquaintances, and just to kind of help her level set and give her some tools to escape this area right here. But in classic Absolute Wonder Woman fashion, we have these lessons learned from childhood, right? We're interacting with all these different beings when she's in hell with Clea, and we're understanding how her mind works, right? Everybody else is a little bit more ruthless, but Diana takes a different path. She's more of a give and take kind of a person. And so we get to see a little lesson that she learned here, of course, be relevant in the future in the story that we're in right now. And it's really cool to continually be reminded of those kinds of elements, because that's what Absolute Wonder Woman is. She's this character that is she works outside the box. She does things a little bit differently, but she's really full of hope and pride, and she just does what she needs to do to win the day, right? And so that's just a really cool reminder every single issue, just reinventing that philosophy and giving us the reader exactly what we want right there. Amazing story, continues to be a great one. Let me know if you read it. Next up is Immortal Legend Batman, a DC Elseworld story. We have issue number 1 right here. I took a chance on this one just because, hey, it's a new number 1. It's Batman. Why wouldn't you pick it up? Kyle Higgins is on there. Hit or miss for me, to be be honest with you, that writing style and like the vibe that he typically goes for inside of a book. I think this was previewed in a lot of different DC books over the coming weeks. So stuff like this is probably pretty familiar if you've been reading DC books as of late. $5 price point on this one. Again, it is an Elseworld story. We're dealing with an interesting concept of like the Bat family, this like trio that's been around forever, kind of like in a Power Rangers type of a fashion. It gets passed down from person to person. And we have a problem with the current Bruce Wayne Batman. He's kind of gone off the rails, so to speak. And so other people are trying to find him and try to course correct him or take him out altogether. So we're going to see what exactly is going on there. We have the Two-Face man inside of here. So we're going to have some more analogs for familiar DC characters showing up with inside the book. And so, I mean, it was action-packed. It was fun. It was very bright and vibrant and everything, but like there wasn't much to the story to get me hooked personally. If you like flashy kinds of stories, Power Ranger-esque, lots of anime vibes, things like that, you might dig this one. If you like Kyle Higgins' other work, you might be liking this book right here. For me, it didn't really do a whole lot for me. I'm probably not going to continue reading it. I'm glad I checked it out, but let me know what you guys thought down below. Let's go over to IDW with Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring issue number 2, continuing this volume that I never know I needed. I didn't even know there was a second volume to be had here. Issue number 2 is very strong like the first one. This issue is a little bit of a curveball. It actually takes us back to the moments right before issue number 1 where Sam is living her life, you know what I mean? Going out of town, doing what she does best, coming back home and like hiding just in plain sight. You get to see a lot of the townsfolk walking around just doing their daily stuff, but you also see how Sam got engaged with like the message boards and the internet and things like that. This is an era where it's like 1996, it feels like, where you get those AOL discs in the mail. She gets one, she understands what message boards are, things like that, and she comes across all these people talking about these missing people and everything, and she comes across some news of a murder that she has in the past, and that's how she's basically engaging with the character we met in issue number 1. So it's a really great let's go back kind of an issue to tie everything together, because that was an open question in the first issue. Like, how did Sam come across all this stuff? And so now we know inside the book. So it definitely takes us back, but it still adds more context and clues, but it's a really fun issue at the same time. So with all that said, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees continues to be an amazing run right here. Even these retroactive stories being told, really great stuff, adds more to the world and everything. Really liking this one. Let me know if you read it. Next up from Rosenberg and Landini with Wordy, and we have Haas as well. We're taking everyone down with us, issue number 5. One of my favorite runs this year, I would say. It's probably in the top 5 to 10 for sure. This is an amazing, amazing continuation of that series right there. This book is just a combination of so many cool different things. We have robotics, we have family drama, we have all these different secret societies all over the place. Really great artwork. It's like a spy thriller noir kind of a book all rolled up into this amazing story. It's very sci-fi too. I'm just loving everything about this. We basically have these two powerhouses, right? This scientist and this other lady who has generational wealth and power and everything. They got together, they had a daughter, and they had a divorce, and they had a really messy breakup. And this is basically the story of how that little girl grew up and all the secrets around her and her dad and all that kind of coming to light. I really love how the pacing of this book is handled. It's really, really interesting because you have all these different relationships of the past kind of coming to light right in front of you, and they're providing you with context about what is going to be happening later in the story, but you just don't understand it necessarily at that moment, and everything comes together beautifully towards the end. It's just really well done. Of course, this book is full of just absolutely sick humor, really quick scenes, I would say too. Like, we don't linger in one place with one group of people too long. We handle business there. We usually end on a joke or some kind of a quip. We flash to the next scene and we rinse and repeat, just kind of keeping the reader engaged the entire time. It's also 32 pages at that $5 price point. So it's a great story, great art, reasonably priced, man. Definitely check this one out if you haven't yet. Robert Kirkman and Connor Hughes over on Void Rivals issue number 22, a series that's been waning on me, to be honest with you. We have our big faction battle, I guess, in here. Everyone wants this unity, and even the people in the book are confused about why they're fighting. We have one guy who's completely gung-ho trying to get his forces to attack, and that's exactly what we get inside of here. But we even have some people in here saying, well, why are we even fighting? What's going on? So basically, it's these hard-headed people just going at it, claiming unity and everything, and it's just really lost on me, to be honest. And then you have moments in the book featuring characters that I just don't even remember seeing in the past, or like, what's the point of them? I don't even remember what's going on. So you have these moments where you remember the overall narrative, but then they flash forward or flash around to different characters throughout, and you just don't even know how they're even connected with the overall story. Like this dude over here, it's like I forgot like what the point of this was. He found a bunch of clones of himself. I don't know how he rolls into the larger story, but yeah, it's got me kind of confused about what are we doing there. And then it takes us to the war that is also confusing. So Unity is going to be beginning very, very soon. What does that mean? Who knows, man? We have Void Rivals out right now. I would like an end cap to the story, to be honest with you. I want to see what the ending is and roll it into the major overarching Energon universe. Hopefully we'll be getting that soon. Void Rivals is out. Let me know what you guys thought. Next up is Kaya issue number 29. Wes Craig on this one. The big jailbreak issue that we've been building up to this whole time kicks off inside of this issue in very, very dramatic fashion. I still like the idea that we have this underlying resentment and mistrust between Kaya and Razel. That narrative is kind of getting old. I want to see what the conclusion of that is right there. We get too many shifty glances, right, to not believe Kaya or be on Kaya's side. But at the same time, he's also trying to help Jin fulfill his prophecy, fulfill like his potential, and we get to see what that leads to inside of this issue. So much action inside of here, man. It is a big jailbreak scene. Everybody's clashing right here. We get some great Kaya moments in here with that iron arm. We get a lot of cool transformations from Jin. We even have some help from some of the other ancillary cast on our team right now and the prisoners themselves. It was a really dramatic, fast-paced, action-packed issue. With that said, there are some casualties and there are some be careful what you wish for, prophecy-wise kinds of moments towards the end of the book that adds that drama that we love from Kaya. And you can't help but remember some of those earlier issues where we have the splitting of the siblings and there's some kind of rivalry or some kind of bitterness between them. Does it start here? Who knows, man? But I'm excited to get to the next issue, issue number 30. Some amazing splash pages towards the end of this book as well. Really excited for Kaya. Definitely read this one if you haven't yet. Next up, we have Geiger issue number 17. Jeff Johns on this one. Gary Frank is on the interiors, but only for a couple of pages. We have Eduardo stepping in for the majority of the issue here with some other inkers and whatnot scattered around. But the art was still pretty solid, I think. It's still very much in the vein that we're used to for Geiger himself. So whenever they do things like this, I really appreciate it when they sync up a little bit on the artist style and it's not too disruptive for the reader. So props to the team for that. This issue sort of feels like a beginning of a new arc, so to speak. So we're coming out of our big radiation explosion that we had in Geiger in the previous issues, where basically he absorbed everything from the blast and from our nuclear woman as well. And basically we have our doctor, we have our nuclear Nite getting back together, trying to figure out if he's okay, but they realize he's actually missing right now. And they talk about where he could be and how that could be. He's actually found by some other folks that think he's a traitor working for the other team or something like that. And he's actually imprisoned. And so this is a whole issue about him being interrogated, being tortured for being somebody that he's not. And they're trying to get information from him that he just doesn't have. He doesn't know how this world works, but he's kind of like imprisoned. So what are you going to do about all that? I think they did a good job of putting Geiger in a position that he's not used to. He can't really power up. He's depowered because of the area that he's in, which I think we're going to explore some more. He doesn't have his rods with him either, and he doesn't understand how things could be. He's actually in a cell with some pretty shady character as well, and we're trying to figure all that out as we go through. So it very much keeps the vibe of Geiger. I love how they put him in a situation we really haven't seen him in before, where he's kind of down right now. He doesn't know what to do. He's actually trapped. And what does that actually mean? And who's going to come to the rescue is where we're going to be headed in the story. There's even a somewhat rare moment in the book where we have a flashback before the nuclear fallout with him and his son. His son has some issues at school that he's trying to help him with. So we're reminded again of his humanity before all of this stuff. And it's a really great yin and yang compared to like what he is today. It's really cool to see that and be reminded of that in the book. We also get kind of the return of a character that I thought we have lost forever towards the end of the book from a really interesting, cool point of view too. Very creative way to kind of bring this character back. And I loved all that, man. Geiger continues to be one of my favorite books out right now. Very, very strong issue number 17, I thought. Let me know if you read it. All right, and lastly, we have the Invisible Man issue number 1. James Tynan, we have Danny, and we have Brad Simpson on the colors. First off, that cover right there is amazing. Definitely probably one of my top 10 favorite covers of the year, I would say. Incredible work right there. Now, James Tynan kind of set the standard, I think, for how these Universal Monster books should work over at Image, where you take the familiar concept of the character, you basically take the first movie and you add more context around that. You don't make a sequel, you don't make a prequel, anything like that. You just give us more context of things we didn't see from the original movie that enhances the overall experience. He did that inside of Dracula. They did it in Frankenstein. They did it in other books too, and they're doing it inside of Invisible Man right here. The book opens in a really familiar way inside that hotel that he rents. friends. He goes upstairs, but everyone keeps bothering him, and eventually he lashes out, attacking the sheriff and, running amok inside the town. So we start off in a real dramatic way, but classic fashion, we go back and we learn a little bit more about his early experiments, how he got to this part, the experiments on rats, the psychology behind it, like his motivations, everything. Going over his failed attempts and all the people that were in his life and things like that. Danny's artwork continues to be amazing. She's a master at negative space, but she also has this eerie sketchiness inside this book in particular. And Brad Simpson does a great job on that as well, just complementing that style. As far as how much is covered inside this book, we basically get the whole origin story of how he came up with this concoction and what it can do for him. So we're going to be getting into all of that. If you want a hauntingly beautiful book that's very complimentary to the original movie with a great team, great artist and everything on it, highly recommend checking this one out. Let me know if you did. All right, that's what I read this week. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know down below what you read and what your favorite books of the week were. While you're down there, like, subscribe, share, hit that bell notification to be alerted whenever I put out new videos. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the comments.